Here we see the lazy LCS fan, chilling doing nothing in New York City.
Relax, MSI just ended. We got a ton of time.
More like 1 week.
A week?
Yes, there's many changes abroad. Best of threes, roster changes, you name it. It's all here, starting now.
I got interviews to do, let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the season premiere of The Pit, your weekly show that will cover everything LCS, everything you need to know, the results of matches, everything going on, but things are going to be a little bit different this time around. Not in terms of the show, not much is changing here, but there are a lot of changes coming to summer that we did not have in spring that you need to know about before we even get into power rankings next week. So, here's all you need to know with some input from a few special guests. First and foremost, we are swapping formats from best of ones to best of threes. Out with the old, in with the new. Wait, no, we've done this before, but it's slightly different. So it is going to be a single round robin best of three for every team involved. You only play each team in the league once, but you do have the potential, obviously, for more games. You're playing at minimum 2. If you end up going 1-1 in the series, you automatically go to a third game, which is more than you would have played your opponent in the prior format. So honestly, it's a good change overall. I know there's some people that are like, oh, well, for example, 100 Thieves and their schedule, they play NRG week 1. You're telling me that we won't be able to see 100 Thieves versus NRG again until playoffs? Yes, that's exactly what I'm telling you. And I know some people might have an issue with that, but me personally, I don't. As an NFL football fan, it is a real treat whenever I get to see the Vikings play the Steelers realistically once every 4 years, unless both teams make it to the playoffs. I get that it's a smaller league, but if the trade-off is to only have best of ones, yes, this is the better alternative, and we're not trying to increase broadcast days or do anything else there. So yes, 100%, I like this format. The biggest question though for people coming into summer was the playoff format going to change? Because if you go back to last year when we had 10 teams, 8 teams made playoffs, which was a lot, but there were actually still a lot of close games in the lower bracket between the A seeds and typically the 4 seeds. That provided some pretty compelling narratives and really helped kind of stir the pot and stir the drama early on. But now we have a mini gauntlet, and by gauntlet, it really just means it's like a single road through the losers bracket, as you're seeing over here, where the first and second seeds get buys. They automatically get one best of 5 win, and then they're at Worlds already. The losers bracket, if you're a lower seed, you have to play more best of 5s as you eventually try and climb your way to that top 3, which will still get you to Worlds. The key with this being that regular season is now going to matter a lot more than it used to, purely because if you are a lower seed, say 100 Thieves does get that 6th seed and you don't win your upper bracket matchup, well, guess what? Your losers bracket run just got exponentially harder by a lot. So yes, every single best of 3 in the regular season matters, especially the first week when you look at the schedule and it's like all of these are close matchups to teams that you would expect them to be in contention with later in the season for world seeding, for potential bids at Worlds. Like, this first week matters so much. And yes, we aren't going to see these teams play again for a bit, but like, you have to win this early on. So that pretty much touches the format stuff. And obviously, as we go on and continue the weeks, it'll become more clear the impact of best of 3s versus best of 1s. We'll talk about it when the time is right, but for now, let's move on to some of the other stuff. Really quickly, they're adding a UI change to the broadcast, I think at least on Twitch and maybe on like the LoL Esports website whenever you watch it, that will allow you to see like item builds and a bunch of other stuff. If this interests you, go right ahead and do so. Be excited for it. I just want to pass along the word, but like for me, I'm not going to be checking this stuff all that much, so like it's not as impactful for me. What does matter for me, obviously, is the watch party program that the LCS is setting up, where certain people can apply to be an official watch party with the LCS, where the LCS will broadcast the dates, the location, stuff like that. And yes, I already have all of the dates planned for when we're going to be watching the LCS here in New York City. I have a whole separate video on it, so I don't want to beat you over the head, but just know we will be watching the LCS here in New York City. So come on out if you can. All the events are free, and details, as always, will be down below. There were a bunch of positive changes to the NACL, but honestly, I'm not going to talk about them here. I'm not really going to watch Academy this year with 100 Thieves not being in it. I just don't have a reason to watch personally. There's no vested interest for me, but that's not saying that the changes to the NACL weren't great. I'm just not the content creator that you should be looking at to talk about those things in depth. Look at Cubby, look at others, and put pressure on them to put out content around it each and every week. And the NACL does have their own YouTube video or YouTube channel now, so be sure to check that out if you want to see anything from them. But they've got Fearless Draft, they got a bunch of new sponsors and stuff, like all positive things for them. but just go over and check out somebody else there. This is just LCS stuff. Now let's get into the team changes, because oh boy does this get spicy. First, there are a few orgs that made no changes whatsoever. Those being 100 Thieves, who retain all of their rookie players that they're going with. River still in the jungle, looking to improve upon a really good regular season, but kind of a faulty playoffs at the end of last year. Or last split, Jesus, it wasn't that long ago. Your champions, Team Liquid, have not changed one little bit. Immortals have not changed a player, but they did change their coaching staff. And I got the chance to talk to Inero and pick his brain on the upcoming split and his return to the LCS as a head coach.
Hey, men, how are you?
Same old shit, different day. A little bit of work mixed in with everything. Living the life.
Nice.
You, sir, decided to get a job at the wrong damn time.
Why's that?
Pina colada season, come on now. A little bit of rum, feet chilling on the beach. You could have worked in spring and taken the summer off, but no, you had to do it the reverse.
Is what it is, man. I could have taken this whole year off, but I can't stay away.
Does it feel good to
Too
be back?
boring. Yeah. No, it's pretty nice. It's nice to be back to scrimming every day. I need to compete. I get too fucking bored otherwise if I'm not competing in something. And the last thing I want to be competing in is solo queue, and that's not fun.
Well, I mean, you're 30 now, so it's also marathon time, right? Like, in theory, you should be running either a half or full K, maybe like go up to the Ironman status.
My fat ass is not getting into a marathon anytime soon. I got to work up to that. I can run my 2 miles and feel okay. Anything more than that, and we're
not a 5K, Andy. Not just gonna blitz a 5K on a Saturday morning for the hell of it.
No, I can't do those yet. Maybe someday.
Okay, fair enough. What's got you excited about the year? Split.
Just competing, man. Like I just want to be back with a team that can actually like fight against the others, and I don't know, just the feeling of there's so much potential to get better than where Immortals is at, is motivating for me. Like I like that type of challenge more than anything. So it's really that. Like I just feel like I've got a lot of opportunity there, and I wanna seize that.
How similar is this to the Golden Guardians entrance back when, where it does seem like you have a tendency to be the cleanup guy that comes in, turns the franchise around a little bit?
Yeah, love starting in the slums. Had fun with that. I mean, from Mouse Sports to Echo Fox to GG to now.
I don't know if Echo Fox is the slums. You guys had a private jet, so
okay, it's like, yeah, man, they had a private jet, and then we lived in Beverly Hills, but the team sucked. Like we weren't good, So placings wise in the slums, love starting there and building up from it. Yeah, it's a little similar. Yeah, I mean, the start of GG was kind of coming in, and the roster was built of just like all these veterans that like came together from, just got like leftover from their different teams, and just seeing like who from that would be one that you could build a team around for the future and like find some younger players to plug and play in. IMT is a little less like that. Like you definitely do have the vets, but it's definitely so much less similar. There's a lot less ego in this going in. Like it's less guys that have like all like won where they were at and like accomplished it. Obviously you have like Tactical and Ole who have done like pretty well for themselves, and Armeo came off of like doing decently well.
I just realized this is you're reuniting with Ole.
Yeah, reuniting with the boy. It's good. But yeah, no, they much less ego, a lot more like I don't know, the vibes are chill. Like the team environment is like very relaxed, which is positive and negative, but it's good.
So nice. Team environment's good. I gotta ask about management though, because the thing that Raz tweeted out at me about a year ago was I was of the opinion that you should be willing at all costs to go to a team like Immortals or somebody that's towards the bottom of the standings from prior split and try to turn it around. Whether that's you turning the franchise around, turning your own career around, like there should be that hunger and that motivation to go there. His response was, it's not worth it, at least at that time, back when we had 10 teams, to go to somebody like Immortals, because veteran players, you could be doing more damage. For younger players, you're not really getting what seemed like at the time a fair opportunity and a fair shot to actually prove yourself. You're just going to go there and screw your career to start.
Yeah.
What gave you confidence that it's not going to be like that at Immortals and that opinion's now outdated?
Yeah, honestly, I can see the merit of both of those for that, because you do have to worry if you go into a team and like management is just shit, and yeah, as a young player, you don't actually get a real chance, and every other team is just also shit management, and they're like, "Oh, that guy's not good. He didn't do well. Like, we don't want to get him. Like, it's not worth it." So like, I get that. But at least for me, like, I did have a lot of questions for IMT management coming in, just to see what I don't know what the environment was like. I talked to the players as well too, because obviously, like, I know Ole beforehand coming in. I know Tactical, Armeo, so I can just like get a vibe check there of like what it's like day to day for them. Because obviously, I don't expect the players to know, like, higher up, like, how it goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had questions for IMT. Like, I wanted to know about the whole report card situation, and if like the people doing that were still like around, involved, which is not the case. So that's chill.
Good to know.
And yeah, just checking on that type of stuff, because I'm at least confident. Like, if I come in, I am honestly kind of a nuisance for management. I think I'm really willing to be the annoying asshole towards like the upper end of like, hey, we need this. Like, this is what we need to do. Like, if you do this, like, you're really just screwing us. Like, you can't do that, etc. I'm really down to be like the bad guy where it's necessary and that type of stuff internally. So I don't know. I feel confident coming into these situations that I'll be fine. Like, I'll be chill. And if my reputation gets screwed by it because like IMT goes bad, like, if it's on the performance end, like, you know, it's my fault. It is what it is. If anything happens on the management side, I at least know, like, internally amongst players and like other like staff for other teams, like, it should be fine. It would just mean that something happened internal in Immortals. But I don't know. They've been pretty easy to get along with so far. I haven't really ran into any issues at all with them. Like, working with Robert, Joey, on the like direct coaching end has been awesome. James on the GM side, like, I know what the management life is like. I don't need to like request too much or like need him to baby me. So it's like, oh, we're doing this at this time. Okay, chill. I know.
That's got to be an interesting dynamic of like, you're going to be one of the few coaches in the league that has ever had like that level of experience to be able to like understand what they're looking for out of you on a day-to-day level and then flip it in reverse as well.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Respectfully, the management job is not too demanding. You kind of make of it what you can, what you can do with it. But realistically, as long as you're managing the numbers and the budget and all that shit, making sure the players and staff are happy, you're doing your job. You can find some extras to do. So it's like, I know what he needs. I do know what he wants from me, from my side, so that he doesn't have to worry about it. So he can find other stuff to get into, figure out what to do. So I'm sure that's nice for their end. So I don't know.
Fair enough. Best of threes. Excited for it? Do you like the change overall? Like, I know some people are raising hell about, you know, it only being single round robin, but due to the constrictions of broadcast days, it kind of like, realistically, it's either this or best of ones. Are you happy with the change? Are you looking forward to it? Like, what's your thoughts?
Best of three is good. I definitely like the fact that we're going to show up to the studio and we're not going to wait there for like 2 hours to play one game and then go home. We're like, oh, we fucked up level 1 and the game's over. Well, awesome. The whole day is ruined. That's sick. Obviously, you can avoid that in every single situation, but, you know, it's going to happen at some point. You just have a shit game. Yeah. Whatever, something happens. Best of three is definitely nice. I do wish we could get more games where we could play like Saturday and Sunday, but I understand the broadcasting side. Like, that's not going to change for a while at least. But best of three is so much better. Like, the ability to adapt, like, okay, mess this up. Like, players can adapt and like show like they can recover from this type of thing, rather than having to wait all the way to playoffs to be able to show they can do it. It's nice. I really like it. I don't know. I hope it is successful on the viewership end so that we don't have to go back to best of one, because it's annoying.
I 100% agree. What I guess final question on the team front side is like, what impression should fans have of Immortals coming into the split? Like, what should fans be on the lookout for that like really gets them excited for the season?
I think a lot of the strengths of Immortals last season should really carry over to summer, and just adding a little bit more on top of that. I think their biggest struggle was team play. I think in terms of individual play, individual performance, these guys have that ability, and it should always be there. I think with this team, every game can easily feel winnable. Like, you down so much gold, and okay, we're actually able to fucking contest. And not just roll over and lose the game. And I'm really big on teams not just rolling over and losing the fucking game. Like, I want to actually play to fight. Like, okay, maybe we lose the game 3 minutes faster because we tried to win it, but okay, whatever. I don't want to sit there 3 minutes watching myself lose any longer either. Let's just get the shit over with, win or lose. And I believe the players can actually find those angles and find the ability to do that. So it should be an exciting team in terms of that, and in terms of individual performance. And then just as we keep going through the split and growing, I'm really confident we can get so much better on the team play side, because there's so much lacking there.
That's all I got for you. I'm only allowed like 10 minutes or so I don't want to waste too much of your time. I know you got a long day.
All good, man. My long day has been me sitting here waiting, so no worries.
Yeah.
You're all good.
Other lower end team moves include Shopify, who are notably replacing Boogie in jungle. It's not that he's been cut, he's benched now, and Tomio is finally getting his chance at the LCS, and many people, including I Will Dominate, are very excited to see him get his shot. I couldn't tell you much about him. I don't watch Academy all that much, but from what I hear, he's pretty hyped. So in theory, Shopify should be getting better, but my eyes still go to that top lane, and Fake God to really have to step it up this split in order for them to stand a chance. B-Boy already looked good. That bot lane looked good, and Sandy had his moments, but top jungle's where I'm needing to see some improvements. I did notably forget one team that's not changing towards the bottom, and that was NRG, who lost 100 Thieves in spring playoffs, but I sat down with Thinkcard, as we did at the beginning of spring, to talk about what's going to be different going into summer, because now they're in a completely different situation than they were at the beginning of this year. They ain't champions no more, and the pressure with that is totally different. Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. You?
Asset day treating you guys fine?
Honestly, I just got here. The players have been here for a while, but for me, I just show up at like 1:30, do a few interviews, take like 2 pictures, and then that's it.
Oh, well, that's nice and easy then. You have a fairly chill day.
Yeah, not bad.
So, we're getting back into the swing of things. Spring split, dust has settled, everything is done. Unfortunately, spring split wasn't as good for you guys, but I just want to get your thoughts, like reflecting back, because we had a conversation coming into spring about some of the pressure that existed as like being defending champions versus now kind of shifting back towards old expectations to a certain extent, or at least old placings from spring relative to summer. Do you think in hindsight that was one of the driving factors of spring's finish, and like will it change going into summer?
Yeah, I think that was honestly one of the main factors. I think that was the first time I've ever been defending champion. That was the first time some of our players have ever been defending champions. And I don't think as a team we balanced expectations with the pressure we added to ourselves. Being able to work through the hard times, especially when you have those expectations, makes everything a little bit harder because you don't expect to go through those hard times. So I do think that was kind of the main factor. That being said, like we still had other things that we needed to kind of improve on, like team synergy, making sure who he has a voice, making sure we're all on the same page of how we want to play. I do think that we are way better off going into summer split than spring because we've worked on all those things and we've kind of like pinpointed what we could have done better in spring. But yeah, that added pressure of being defending champions for sure was like a huge impact on us.
The only good thing, no matter what, is that G2 and the record there still remains intact no matter what. Nothing has changed. Nobody dropped the ball on behalf of North America at MSI. So we're good. NRG's record over G2 still stands going into summer split and Worlds.
Yeah, it's huge. I was a little bit worried that maybe NA and EU would butt heads again, but you know, lately NA's been doing well. We've been doing well in that rivalry, so we just gotta keep doing it. At Worlds, we want to be one of the teams that are there, so that we get to, put our money where our mouth is, and we get to be one of the teams that gets to stand up against EU.
So besides, like you said, the changing pressure, you've pinpointed a few things. Is there anything else that like is really notably different going into summer versus spring? Like things that you're going to specifically be working on to try and make that ramp up?
Totally. I mean, honestly, in spring, I felt like we were probably like 2 to 3 weeks of practice away from doing really well in playoffs. We just weren't very efficient with our time at various points during the split. And coming into summer, we started scrimming way before everyone else, maybe around the same time IMT did, and we're the only teams that have been scrimming for this long. So we've been scrimming the longest out of all the LCS teams. We pinpointed all the things from last split that we want to do better, and macro wise, in game wise, out of game wise, just all these different things we pinpointed, and we are just ready. We are ready to take on the challenges of the split and understand that we're gonna have some dark times, but we're gonna have some good ones too. And as long as we put our heads down and do the work, we're gonna be in a good spot come playoffs.
One of the interesting things about this split in particular is we do have that 3-week break in between, which I know we technically had like last split, but it's different this time because in theory the top end of the league goes away for however long they're going to be over there, plus the 19-hour flight both ways. Does that change how you're going to practice in terms of the ability to either like taper yourself a little bit in the mid-season as you kind of make a push towards the end, or is it still like full pedal to the metal, like grind the same every single time, even whenever there is that break in between?
It's always good to have like, 1 to 2 days off here and there. So we're going to make sure that everyone's not just grinding the whole time. But for the most part, we are just going to put our heads down to the work. So it doesn't really matter to me if two teams are going somewhere else and they're going to have a different situation there. We're just going to focus on ourselves and put in the work. And I think that the best teams use that time really well. If we go to last spring, I thought TL came back way, way stronger after the break and ramping into playoffs than other teams. So it's very clear that they put their heads down. They had a plan of what they wanted to improve on in that break. They executed it and they came back way stronger. And every team needs to look at that and really just audit the way that they used their 2 to 3 week break last split. And so we did the same. And we are going to make sure that when we get that 2 to 3 week break, we are going to come back and work on and fix a lot of the problems that we saw in the first few weeks, so that ramping into playoffs, we are what we want to be.
How much does best of threes then change that as well? Because now, like, you're prepping for, I mean, in theory, you were only prepping for 2 teams prior to this, but now it's 1. And the matchup against that 1 means everything. Like, your first opponent is going to be 100 Thieves, who you faced in spring playoffs. But now, like, this will be the only time you play them up until playoffs. So in theory, like, this match means a lot more in theory than a single best of 1 against them early on in the season last split would have meant.
Yep, it changes everything. I think this is also a great opportunity to show how good our coaching staff's at preparing for one single team, because you're not just playing 2 best of 1s where you can kind of cheese a draft and stuff like that. You really are adapting every single time you play on stage, and you get to see people's sporting habits, you get to see all this stuff, and you really get to prepare for that one team. So I think it benefits us a lot. We've always been a better playoff team or just a best of team in terms of just coaching staff and players. But it changes. It really does change everything. Each weekend is really, really important. When you show up to the stage and you play, like, that's just 1/7 of your season right there.
Yep. I know they said they're decreasing the break time between games. It's going to be like 9 minutes that they want to have it down to. How heavily does that impact what you would say to the guys in between games as you go from game 1 to game 2, or like kind of bounce back?
Yeah, it definitely just makes everything need to be streamlined. You definitely have like a few points that you want to bring up to the team, but you need to tackle draft, you need to tackle mentality, you have to tackle actual gameplay improvements you can make. So there's a lot you have to do, and you really don't have that much time, especially if someone wants to go to the bathroom. Like, what, you have 6 minutes to do all that stuff? So it's just gonna make like everything absolutely streamlined, and we got to be on top of it. We got to know exactly what we want to do in those 9 minutes.
Is there any matchup that you got circled on the calendar in particular?
Honestly, not really. I feel like for some reason we have like a little bit of beef with Flyquest, so that match is gonna be kind of interesting. But for the most part, we're really focused on ourselves. We are not super happy with what we did last split, and we are just excited to show that we can play as a team. We can do better than that, and we want to prove to everyone that energy can be the real deal again.
I'm looking forward to it. I know Flyquest just made the recent announcement as well that Mithy is joining them as well. Think that makes a change at all? Like, because you guys are one of the few teams that like has been all in on the number of coaches that you've had for an extended period of time now. Like, do you think that actually makes a tangible difference for them, or does that like not really fill the hole that they needed plugged in the first place?
Yeah, I talked to Mithy a bit in the off season. He's someone I respect a lot. He's been around for a long time. I remember back in like 2016, one of the first times I talked to him, maybe 2015. Like, I was super impressed with the understanding of the game. He just really understands so much. So I do think it's going to help them. I do think like some of their problems are probably still going to exist. So from the outside, it's hard to tell. Obviously, if you're on the inside, I'm sure they're gonna have like a better opinion and give a better information on the situation. But from the outside, like Mithy's gonna help, but I'm sure they're still gonna have some issues.
Gotcha. Any final words for NRG fans out there? What they should be really looking forward to this split?
Yeah, I think we've had some loyal fans ever since we came into the league, and something that at least people that have followed this particular squad and coaching staff and just infrastructure for a long time is we almost always improve. If something is a little bit of a step back, we always come back and we do better. And I expect that to happen in the summer. I expect that we are going to put on a good fight. We're going to do some damage in playoffs, and hopefully we can get everything to click at the right time so that we can make you guys proud.
Thank you so much for your time, man. I don't want to take up much more. I know you got a busy day ahead, so enjoy.
All right, cool. Thank you.
No problem. Have a good one.
Now let's talk about the big one, the roster change this offseason that had everybody talking, which was Flyquest, your second place team, the team that would go on to bomb out of MSI, not make it to the knockout stage, and one of arguably the biggest North American letdowns internationally. They did get rid of Jensen. They sent him off to Dignitas. In replace comes Quad, a player that's been around the block a little bit for the LCK Challenger scene, but is getting his first like full shot here in North America, which, hey, it might work out. Maybe he is that missing piece because there was a cultural difference between Jensen and everybody else on this team. Maybe it will work. But I can't say looking at this, I'm particularly like, yeah, Flyquest resolves all their issues. It's like, I don't know. They lost their positional coach post the summer split. He was put on leave right before finals due to messaging underage people. That's all I'm going to say on that. But to my knowledge, they haven't added anybody else on their staff, or at least it hasn't been publicly announced yet. So I have no reason to believe that things are just going to magically get better because Quad's in there. But we'll see. They know the inner workings of their org better than we do from the outside in, so we gotta trust them, at least on the surface. But probably the biggest upgrade split over split, hands down, bar none, is what Dignitas did to completely retool their roster from the bottom up. The only person that remains exactly the same for Dignitas is their support Isles. Everybody else is different. In top lane, you have Licorice coming in, who was unsigned after Golden Guardians imploded at the end of last year and left the LCS entirely. In the jungle, you have Spica, who got benched from Flyquest whenever they brought in Inspired and was just sitting there as a content creator. In mid lane, they picked up Jensen from Flyquest, who also imploded. And in the bot lane, you have Sven returning to the LCS as an ADC. The last time we saw him play, he did lose in finals as a support for Berserker. We have never seen Sven play ADC in the league with Berserker there, and also with Yawn in the league as well, because the two have a very clear budding rivalry. This is very much, when you look at it, C9 yellow. Actually, no, I think literally every player has played for Cloud9 except for Spica, right? Did Isles play? It was Winsome and Isles with Cloud9 for a bit. So it's literally Cloud9 yellow. Like, everything about this is C9 yellow. And this is a squad that, honestly, I'm excited to see in the LCS because I don't like whenever veterans just go on, like, content creator contracts and just sit out there and can't do anything. I want them in the league. I want them to potentially get their ass kicked by the rookies. Like, Yawn and APA popping off is great, but I want to see Yawn beat somebody like Sven when he's in the league. I don't want to see Yawn beating up on, like, I hate to say it, but like lesser talent that's not necessarily getting a shot. Not really not getting a shot, but like obviously the veterans need to be beaten out, not just forced out because their contract values drop and they're just sitting out because of the money, which I get why it happens. But like I want to see pros in the LCS, like if they don't decide to retire and keep playing into like the later years, I want to see them crash out to like Perks' level. think Perk's got one too many shots, but nevertheless, these are the types of rosters that I do enjoy seeing as long as you're not overpaying these veterans. As long as every team's not like that. I only want like one team like this in the league. The rest, I want to see like a mix of veterans and rookies. But I like seeing the old man squad, or like the quote washed up veteran squad, see if they can prove themselves on the stage again. Now, how high will they finish? I do not know, and I'm not going to talk about my power rankings this week. Tune in next Friday for a special episode of The Pit, which will feature Yawn and Dokla, where I will power rank every single team and where I think they end summer split at. Not regular season. I hate whenever people just rank where they're going to finish in the regular season. None of that matters to me. All I care about is, are you making it to Worlds? Where do you finish in terms of the overall standings? And that will be answered in 1 week's time. Thank you for watching this episode of The Pit. Be sure to leave a comment down below on what change you are most excited for coming into summer. And I'll see you next Friday for the next episode of The Pit, and next Saturday for the first day of LCS.